Welcome to the UNC Charlotte College of Education Cooperating Teacher Training Series. This module is in module number 2, and the focus will be on understanding how to use the STAR rubric when evaluating your student teacher. The STAR is the Student Teaching and Graduate Internship Assessment Rubric. CTs and university supervisors will both use this guide to evaluate the progress of the student teacher on standards that the university has adopted from the Interstate New Teacher Assessment and Support Consortium, also known as INTASC. During this screencast, you will be able to download a PDF version of the rubric to use during this training. However, during the actual student teaching semester, your assigned candidate will have the actual guide for you and the supervisor to record observations. To give you a sense of how the scoring training will work and to explain the documents you will have access to, let's discuss the order of how this module will be completed. First, we will look at the 10 actual standards, definitions for each, and where to find them in the actual STAR PDF. Next, we will discuss the elements and how many of these individually assessed elements fall under each standard. Again, this will be available in the actual STAR PDF. Discussion of how to score the rubric will follow. Our focus for scoring will be on proficiency. We will only expect you to identify examples that are considered proficient in the practice scoring. You will have a brief overview and see the actual STAR PDF that you will download. You will see the actual vignettes to score and the score sheet in the screencast, but you will want to download them as well, so you can take as much time as you'd like. All materials you will need can be found directly below this screencast that you clicked on in the OFE CT Resources webpage. The STAR incorporates 10 standards that represent essential components of quality teaching. Each standard contains several elements which more clearly define the language of the standard and are rated individually on the STAR. Let's next take a look at the 10 standards that make up the STAR before we go to the actual document and examine the elements and how the rubric is organized. Here are the actual 10 standards you will see in the STAR rubric guide and the PDF version we are about to preview. In parentheses, we have listed how many elements are found within each standard. These elements are the actual specific areas the student teacher will be assessed on. As you can see, the first two only have one element each, while the rest have at least 3, some 4. Before we open and preview the individual documents, let's first take a look at how the rubric is scored on a scale of 0 to 3. Level 0 means not observed or no evidence. Level 1 means the candidate is developing and lacks consistency. A level 2 is proficient and is what we are looking for with our candidates. A level 3 means accomplished, or that the candidate has gone above and beyond. Remember, we're only focusing on proficiency ratings or a score of 2 during this training. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to pause this presentation. But for now, let's open up the documents for practice scoring. There are 3 in all. Number 1, I'm going to want you to open up the PDF document labeled STAR. Number 2, I want you to open up the PDF document labeled STAR Vignettes for Cooperating Teacher Training. And number 3, I want you to open up the Word document called Score Sheet. Pause this screencast if you need additional time while opening these documents. Welcome back. We are now going to preview each of these documents. After the previews, you should simply pause or stop the screencast so that you can read each of the vignette scenarios and identify the areas you believe are proficient or level 2 based on the descriptors. Okay, let's start our preview. The document in front of you is the STAR Rubric Guide. This is a 19-page document, and we are not going to discuss each and every page. Instead, we will discuss how it is organized. The standards. At the top of each page, you will find the definition of the 10 standards we have previously discussed. On this first page, you can see the first 2 standards. The elements. In the table below the definitions, you will find the elements with labels such as K1A and K1B. This helps designate the different elements that fall under a standard, which on the top of this page is K1. Each of these first 2 standards only have 1 element for scoring each. The levels. As you move horizontally across the table, you find the scoring levels of the rubric with clear descriptors that you, the CT, and the university supervisor will look for during the formal observation of the student teacher. Level 0, as described, is not observed or no evidence. Developing level 1 has descriptors. Proficiency, level 2, which is what we're looking for with our student teachers, is here. And accomplished, above and beyond, is level 3. Recording pages. Each standard page is followed by a recording page. Once again, the standard is defined at the top, but now the table is broken down by observations instead of score levels. As you can see, there's 4 observations. All student teachers must have 4 formal observations by the CT and the university supervisor. During or immediately after the formal observation, the CT and the US will use the space to document the level they believe the student teacher is at during that observation. On the line, the CT and US will simply record a score of 0, 1, 2, or 3. They will repeat this process 4 times. We've already seen K1. It's followed by K2, content knowledge, which has 4 elements. E1, learning environment, follows with 4 elements. E2, application of content, also has 4 elements, as does E3, assessment. E4, planning for instruction, has only 3 elements, while E5, instructional strategies, has the most with 5 elements. C1, professional learning and ethical practices, has 4 elements. And the last of our 10 standards, leadership and collaboration, has 2 elements. Please take a few minutes on your own to review these in your own PDF version. Now let's take a look at the PDF document, STAR Vignettes for CT Training. Here in the explanation of purpose, we have made it clear that we want you to only look for elements you believe are level 2 or proficient. Take a moment to read the explanation of purpose. Let's look at a sentence example. This comes from Standard C2, Leadership and Collaboration. That was the last standard that we looked at in the STAR PDF. The student teaching candidate updates student grades in the parent viewable online gradebook and adds notes both with concerns and positive comments. The candidate lists dates and times as well for parents to meet and discuss student progress. When looking at the justification, the sentence above describes a candidate that is readily accessible to parents and uses school district-based standards to communicate with families about students. Therefore, this meets a level 2 or proficiency. We will not read through each vignette or scenario in this screencast. You'll want to pause after the preview and read it and take your time with it. Our purpose now is to just point out that we have 3 vignettes scenarios that are general in terms of teacher descriptors. We have told you exactly what standards are in focus, but we have not told you which elements we have embedded as proficient. That will be your task. Let's take a look at each of the vignettes. In vignette number 1, we have told you that K1, learner development and learner differences, will be involved. We have also told you that K2, content knowledge, will be involved. We have told you that E2, application of content, and E3, assessment, will also be involved in this vignette. It'll be your task to discover which elements are proficient within. Vignette number 2 deals with E1, learning environments, and E5, instructional strategies. You'll want to try and identify which of the 9 possible elements between those two standards is embedded within the scenario. And finally, vignette number 3. E4, planning for instruction, C1, professional learning and ethical practice, and C2, leadership and collaboration, have all been in focus. Your task, once again, is to find those proficient elements embedded within the vignette. Next up, we're going to open your score sheet. In front of you is the Word document titled Score Sheet for STAR Cooperating Teacher Training Vignettes. This is your final document of the 3 documents that I've asked you to download. In the directions, you can see that you're going to use this form to identify STAR elements that you believe to be proficient as they are described in each of the 3 vignettes on the downloadable PDF STAR Vignettes for Cooperating Teacher Training. You will simply read each vignette. You will use your PDF of the actual STAR to help you identify the elements from the standards listed. Lastly, you will either make an X or say yes in the space provided if you believe the element is described in a way that is proficient. Remember, none of the vignettes are purposely written to contain elements that are described as scores of 0, 1, or 3. You are only looking for proficient descriptions of elements. The sections of the score sheet are set up exactly to align with the vignettes. As you can see, here's K1, K2, E2, and E3 for vignette number 1. Vignette number 2 only has E1 and E5. And the final vignette, vignette number 3, has E4, C1, and C2. When you finish reading and scoring, go directly to the survey share called STAR Scoring, which is listed below the documents that you have just downloaded, and complete the 3 questions. When you are finished, please return to this point in the screencast for further instructions. Good luck and happy scoring. Welcome back. I hope you were able to properly identify many of the elements we prepared for you or learned what to look for. Before this module concludes, we just have a few more bits of information to share. Additional scoring information. Sometimes when evaluating student teachers, it's hard for CTs and supervisors to determine if the score of 0, 1, 2, or 3 is wholly accurate. In this case, we allow some discretion by adding a plus or a minus to the numerical score to show even the smallest of growth. The next 2 slides will describe the formal observation process. We recognize that the STAR is an in-depth evaluation tool and that you will need more time with it after this screencast. We have produced these screencasts to give you some insight and to start you on the path to understanding this tool for evaluation. Slide 10 continues to describe the observation process. Once again, this screencast is merely meant to guide you prior to the student teaching semester. All CTs will have the opportunity to discuss the materials and the student teaching process more in depth with the university supervisor. You will meet the assigned supervisor at the beginning of the semester when they arrange an initial visit at your school with you, the CT, and the student teaching candidate. Thank you once again for participating in what we hope was a useful and informative STAR scoring module. The next module in this CT training series is a short screencast describing the required documents that the CT will complete during this upcoming student teaching semester.